Nice way to end out the winter
Lord.
in warm
Are you
weather.
driving from Vegas to Minnesota?
Yeah, we're not driving straight through though.
Look, she likes to get there like this.
Look, I'm thinking about Tu Wong Fu when they were trying to drive
I
cross country.
know.
They had their little
That's-
adventure.
Thanks, Julie
If you-
Newmar.
Princess
if you start-
Ooh, that's voodoo girl.
Are we what are we JKD this week?
Yes.
Yep, JKD.
Okay.
We'll have
JKD. JKD.
Haven't done it just for me in a while.
Well, it creeps. I mean, we do it instinctually.
That is true. That is true.
Hey, community, it's Zee. I'm back. And guess what's brewing today?
Zee's Disney letter.
Leave women alone.
And Ask Yo Aunteas, mental health awareness. So get your cups ready for Minority Report.
Hey, welcome to Minority Report. It's Auntie Kerel.
It's Auntie Dawon.
And it's Auntie Jerrell. Ow.
Don't you know? And we have a fourth member this week. You recognize the face. He already been on here, but we had to bring him back because we all got something to say this week. Community, we already like hyped up. But we got Zee back in the building. We got Zayla back in the building. Hey.
Always happy to be back.
How you been?
Been good. Lots going on. Lots to be heated about. Lots for us to talk about especially this week.
Honey, you right.
Yeah.
Right. And before we even get into it too, just a reminder, if you don't quite remember where he's from, he has hold on, I wrote it down. Gay 50 States. So it's gay50states.com. Because he's the author of Our Gay History in 50 States. He's already working on a sequel, Our Black History in 50 States. So please be sure to pick up that book if you didn't do it for Christmas, because remember it was right before Christmas time. We was telling you to pick it up for the holidays. Well, hey, Memorial Day coming up,
Pride
next
Month
Tuesday coming up, next Thursday somebody's birthday coming up, Mother's Day coming up. I guess when this comes out, Mother's Day would have been yesterday, but hey, get her a late gift or just an I love you gift.
Yeah.
And so check that out. And I believe like if you order online from gay50states.com, a portion of those proceeds goes to a charity of your choice, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So don't miss out on that. A lot of people skip that step. For me, it's important that we're giving back to our local LGBT nonprofits, especially the smaller ones that are on the ground doing the work. The national ones get a lot of the big money from all the big organizations. Don't forget about the small fry, because they're in your community helping your local folks.
And if I could just say, check with your company, because if your company has matching funds, don't forget to follow up with your company so that they can match those funds.
I love that. Come on.
Absolutely.
That's that HR knowledge. Come on now. I love that. I love that. Well, Zee hit us in the DMs. He's like, I got something to say, y'all. I got something to say. And we was like, come on, we got something to say too about this whole topic. So I know a lot of people are probably like, we've been quiet about the whole kind of like Disney and the Florida and stuff. Like we kind of mentioned the Don't Say Gay bill a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
But we didn't dive too deeply because we knew this episode was coming up. So we'll let actually Zee kind of kick it off, because you also wrote like an open letter about it, right?
I did.
And what spurred it for you? What like kind of hit you in your spirit?
Well, I grew up in Anaheim, so Disneyland is in my backyard. I used to ride my bike around. We scoured every last inch corner of Disneyland trying to sneak in as kids, because that's what kids do. We're never able to find a spot, never able to get in, right?
Fort Knox.
Right, exactly. Had been there a gazillion times and all that kind of stuff. My open letter, if you can find it at gay50states.com under the media events tab. It's a long one. It's a long one, but I had a lot to say because, strangely enough, I mean, Disney just connects and touches my family in a bunch of different ways. I have an uncle that works at Disney, and he adopted my nephew, and he has MS, so he's going to end up, Disney's going to end up paying for his care when the time comes. And so there's just so many random connections that I had with Disney, and I wanted to make sure that somebody was providing them with that opportunity and resources and tips in regards to how they can be better allies, right?
Mhm.
Like, they already have the HRC stuff, they've had 100% on the index for the last 12 years or something to that effect. I'm sure after this year, HRC will be updating their standards to make sure that the allies are really the allies and speaking up beforehand and not waiting for these types of laws to get passed before speaking up. But there's all kinds of other ways that they can support the community. There's likely going to be a boycott against Florida. There's all kinds of LGBT and other minority businesses that are going to be impacted. Disney has a supplier diversity program. They can spend a lot of money in regards to that. There's an LGBT center right there in Orlando. Why is that not the Mickey Mouse LGBT center? Right?
Yeah.
Gay Days is not officially sanctioned by Disney. How
Oh,
about
it's
making
not?
that? No,
No.
no, no, no,
Mm-mm.
no.
Oh, this time I done
Mm-mm.
seen all the gays go down there in their red shirts.
Right, right. But it's not something that's officially sanctioned by them. That's something that Disney can do.
Wow.
Disney's already involved in submitting amicus briefs to the United States Supreme Court in support of things like marriage equality, things like non-discrimination against folks in the workplace based on sexual orientation and gender identity. They can continue to do that. They can also do that on a state level. So there's lots of tips that I have there for Disney to be able to step up, as well as making sure that every school in Florida has a copy of my book there for them LGBT kids, so that if this law is going to be on the books for a
Get
minute,
that.
those kids can still go to their library and learn about champions from their community that have made a difference, like they can and will in the future.
That's a whole word. And here's the thing that I don't think even a lot of people think about, even just Disney, because they think obviously like the Disney World, the Disneyland, and the movies. Disney owns a shit ton. They own like the ESPNs of the world. Like the parent
Hulu.
company of
Mhm.
Disney.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's even outside of that the immediate Florida community. They are located in a lot of states that are doing a lot of crazy things right now. That if they're selling this dream and a lot of LGBT folks work there,
Yes.
there gets to a point where you have to speak up, like you said, proactively.
Disney is the largest employer in the state of Florida. And so that in essence means that they're the largest employer of LGBT folks, because we know that
Yeah.
probably Disney is disproportionately LGBT in regards to the folks that work there. And so, how can you sell this dream and this magic to kids about, imagination, about creativity, about all this stuff, if, even they're speaking about their existence or their family's existence isn't something that's allowed in the school. So I'm very happy that they finally spoke up, and they're finally putting their money where their mouth is, and there's been retaliation against them in regards to that.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that's going to significantly negatively impact those that live in the Orlando area and the surrounding areas of the parks, because their property taxes are probably going to go up 25%. And so there's actually a lawsuit that was just filed by citizens of Florida against DeSantis in regards to this. So there's lots that's happening. It's very likely that this is going to be found to be unconstitutional in regards to that, because again, the issue here too is, so you can talk about straight relationships, but you can't talk about LGBT relationships. There's laws that protect us as it relates to that.
That's a whole word. That's a whole word. And
Oh,
people
You
you
are
on
upset
mute,
muted,
about.
girl.
boo.
We can't hear anything you're saying,
Not a
Kerel.
word.
Mm-mm.
Whoopi, check your Edna, check your battery. Edna,
Test,
check.
test.
There she is.
That was weird.
It is,
Oh, wow.
girl.
I don't know.
Oh no, it's Alma. Alma, check your
Alma, right.
battery.
Alma, check your
Alma, check your battery.
But I was just saying, like, people are just so upset about like Zaya Wade and the kiss and everything. Yet we got the Little Mermaid with a whole bop of a song called "Kiss the Girl," and she was underage. And, and so it's just like it's just the hypocrisy that unfortunately and fortunately, I mean, is out there. But so you said like something just like even like putting your books in schools like that. What else does it look like for Disney now that they have spoken out? What should it look like? What else can they do? Especially because it's going to be a drawn out fight now that it's going to be in the legal system. Like what else is visible enough for Disney to kind of really, especially the community down there, because that's where the bulk of it is in Florida.
I mean, remember Pulse was right there in Orlando. I mean, so this is, you know, and that was at the time was the most you know, tragic and horrific, you know, hate crime in our country's history, mass shooting that killed so many, and a huge percentage of those were part of our Latin community. You know, folks don't know that the majority of folks that died at Pulse were Puerto Rican. And so, you know, there's lots that Disney can do. It almost seems like every day I get an email or a message from a friend that's either works at Disney or something in regards to things that Disney's doing now. Now it's just like they've just broken open the doors. They're just doing everything gay. So I know that they reframed their rainbow collection to officially the Pride collection. So they've always had rainbow gear and everything, and kind of shied away from actually saying that it was Pride and saying that, oh, rainbows, right? And those are small things and everything, but you know, my open letters got some real serious stuff for them to be able to move in and to make some significant movements and changes there. But as you said, Disney touches so many people's lives in so many different ways. I mean, a lot of the cartoons and everything that are out there that are being consumed, you know, are Disney, and even the networks and stuff. So there's lots that they can do in regards to this.
I've been trying to dodge Disney. It's been so hard, girl. But yeah. But you know, I'm a Marvel girl too, so I was like, "Man, they about to get these Marvel coins." But at the same time, I'm like, But Oscar Isaac, I was like, "God damn, bitch, you better light up my moon."
Why do you think that Disney, out of all of the other potential large corporations that are in Florida, why do you think that Disney is the one that's catching the most heat right now?
Because they're the biggest and they're the most powerful, and so it makes a difference when you're the largest employer in the state. I mean, the United States Congress pays attention when Walmart does and says something, because they're one of the largest employers in the country as well. And so, you know, when that's the sad part, is that when you're a big player, you have more sway. And Disney would have more sway than the individual voter in that state, and that's part of the problem that I think that we have here in this country. Challenges with things like Citizens United and things like that, where corporations aren't people, you know, and they're not supposed to be able to have more power than the individual voters or the collection of voters, but they do. And so that's the important part of us holding their feet to the fire in regards to things like this. And so, and I'm glad you brought that up, because you know, Disney is one of over 1,000 companies that have part of this special tax exemption in the state of Florida, including, you know, what is it, the Daytona Speedway. There's lots of other employers, and when NASCAR, you know, came out and boycotted Confederate flags at their locations, you didn't see Florida say, well, we're going to take your tax exempt status away, we're going to make you do this and do that. So that it's just all fishy. It all points to homophobia and transphobia.
Period.
And I'm gonna check your battery again, girl.
You keep going off.
Keisha, you there?
I do find it, while she's fixing her battery, I do find it really interesting, the choices that are made to politicize certain aspects of our existence, right? You know, the fact that we have some politicians that are using, you know, and we'll talk about this later too, but like using these old tropes like abortion and gay rights or LGBTQ rights, and we keep going back to these issues, and then you see a disproportionate use or abuse of power related to companies and or institutions in states that, you know, are much more conservative, right, or who have conservative leadership. We see much more abuse of their power for those companies and institutions that are more liberal leaning, and yet we don't see an equitable use of litigation and protection against those things kind of happening. So it's it's frustrating and fascinating at the same time that we keep having this cycle go back over. Like, how many times we got to have this same conversation? If it's not, you know, say gay in schools, it's, you know, we can't have, you know, genderless bathrooms or, you know, something of that sort.
Absolutely. And again, this circles me back to history and being the historian. It's like, you know, I mean, it's important for our young folks to know that we've been here already and we've won these fights already before, right? Remember the orange juice boycott, you know, with Anita Bryant out there in California. And yes, that legislation did pass at the time, but at the end, we won. And so I think it's important for folks to know those types of things. And that's the important element about us knowing our history. There's so many folks that don't know that history, and they're really downtrodden and you know, don't see a way out. Don't see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But being able to look at history and know that we've overcome this challenge already, and this is unfortunately just another reincarnation of it, but we'll succeed again in the end, is the amazing part. So we need to make sure that we're sharing those stories.
And that's part of the reason. I was going to say that's just part of the reason why, like when Pride Month comes around, like I speak up in the way that I do, because we have to remember that we got to keep fighting. You know, I love that we have Pride Month to celebrate where we are now, but where we are now is not the end all. Like we have not crossed the finish line. And so it's important, you know, that we have these conversations and we talk about our history so that we know that, oh, guess what? Technically we ain't made it, because if we're still having the same ass conversations, that means we ain't gone nowhere. We do, the needle ain't moved. So while you want to celebrate and be like, oh, look what I can do now, but I mean, you can wear one less piece of clothing than you could 30 years ago.
There you go.
That's probably about it. Add a couple more stripes of color on the damn flag. That's probably about it. You know, easier access to Coke. Maybe it's actually probably hard now. I don't know. But, you know, like we ain't really moved the needle and done the work that we need to be the point where we can celebrate and truly kick up our feet and be like, we done it. We ain't.
The really sad thing that I keep thinking about is oftentimes these kinds of legislative acts are not necessarily intended to, they're a tool. It's not about like exerting, for the most part, exerting either, you know, a homophobic or whatever agenda. It's really that agenda in and of itself is a tool to divide the voter population and distract them from the real things that are happening. And in the midst of all that, because oftentimes we see this kind of legislation happen and then it gets overturned, you know, whether it's 6 months or a year later or whatever. The really unfortunate thing is the amount of people that it hurts in the meantime, all because it's being used as a political tool, not because it's people who really believe, you know, in the, like, for example, with this particular issue, how many of us, let me take that back, all of us grew up with heterosexual images inside our home, in the books that we're reading, on the TVs that we are watching, everywhere. And we still end up gay. So you know what I mean? So like fundamentally, the concept of, you know, like banning the discussion, you know, and the access of this in school, it's not because they believe that this is actually what's going to fix, quote unquote, fix the issue. It's because it's a political tool. And in the midst of using this political device, so many people are hurt.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because, you know, a lot of the argument, and this is one of the things that just infuriates me, you know, to the nth degree, is this framing that they're, you know, anybody that's against this law, they're groomers. They're trying to groom kids to, and all this kind of stuff. But you brought up the exact point. Were we groomed when they were sharing, you know, who's your girlfriend? Who's your boyfriend? Or looking at the cartoons where, you know, the girl chases the boy or the boy chases the girl. Is that grooming? You know, when the teachers have their husband or wife or their spouse come in and talk to the kids at the school, is that grooming? It's not.
I'm tired of this heterosexual agenda that they keep pushing on us. Damn. They at least our agenda, you get a toaster. You ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing but shame and hate with theirs. I mean, damn.
Preach.
Period. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good.
There we go.
So community, it's gonna be just a crunchy episode. It is what it is. But no, I agree. Like the whole thing of the grooming is just like that. It was just like that was the camel that the straw that broke the camel's back. Shit, because it's a slap in the face. It's infuriating. It's belittling to our whole community. Thinking that, like, again, it's the whole trope of the pedophile and this and that they've tried to utilize for centuries. And it pisses me off that they try to use this again. Just different terminology, different, slight little different lingo.
Same old stuff.
The foundation is the same old shit.
And I'm sorry.
Go ahead. She's about to go in. Let me back up.
It was. Blew my eyebrows back.
I know, right? That's what I was reacting to. Was like, Jerrell, oh damn. But I'm like, and the whole thing about pedophilia is that most of them pedophiliacs is straight.
95%. We have statistics. We have data on this. 95% are straight,
yes,
heterosexual males.
Yes.
So anytime they bring that up, I bring the statistics out. Data.
Projection.
I originally learned that from SVU.
We love our shows.
Right. They need to get the education out there.
and honestly, it's the same thing they're doing now with like they've been doing with the abortion stuff. It's the same foundational trying to bestow fear. Stoke, there we go. Something I can't talk today. I'm just in la la land. Stoke fear amongst the population and utilizing that same trope again, trying to get their way, and they're the ones projecting because it's their family members getting the abortions.
And they know that millennials and Gen Z are going to be the largest voting bloc by 2028. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not that long. That's not that far away.
They're trying to get all this shit in right now while the boomers are still, booming. I mean, it see.
Yeah, this whole abortion thing at the Supreme that was leaked is, y'all know I like to fight, but when I tell you I am energized, I am ready, I am whatever it needs to do. I was out rallying at some of the parks out here yesterday. It's just unacceptable. And I hate the whole notion, oh, well, this has never happened in the country in the country's history, especially at the Supreme Court. I don't give a fuck about that. You can try to throw smoke screens all you want to try to get people to focus on something else. But at the end of the day, they're trying to change a woman's right to have an abortion in this country. And I'm tired of hearing people want to put religion into it. I am tired about the fact that the three of the Supreme Court nominees that are, well, not nominees, three of the Supreme Court judges that were recently, interviewed, whatever that process was, all said that, that wasn't part of how they judge or how they rule or how they saw things was when it came to abortions. And now the three people that are backtracking. And I find it funny that they lied their asses way into the Supreme Court, into one of the parts of the, of our system that really they can go untouched. There's no system that checks them, So I really want to hear people be pissed off, and I really want to hear people getting just as mad with this, whether it's about guns or it's freedom of speech or LGBT. Like, you need to be mad about all of it, but specifically this as well too. And I need that same energy that we saw in other things in this as well, because this is unacceptable on so many levels. And the whole fact being that, even if you believed in abortion and you were pro-life, the system isn't set up to be fair for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The basic necessities to raise a child is not free in this fucking country. So while you want to talk about pro-life, well, that doesn't guarantee the child's going to have, you know, financial stability, education, food, healthcare, all that stuff. And so it's going to be on that person. There are reasons why some people will not have children or should not have children, and it should be their right, because our country does not set people up to have children in this company and in this country. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I blame Congress though too, because you know
100%.
Congress is supposed to be passing the laws. It technically is not supposed to rest on the Supreme Court. And I hate saying this, I really do. But that was one of the things that Brett Kavanaugh said during his confirmation hearing that was absolutely spot on, was the fact that that these things are supposed to be addressed through Congress. Mm-hmm. And Congress has had multiple occasions over the last 49 years to codify this into law and not leave it based on the composition of the United States Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And so so much of the rights that we have are based on this right to privacy that the United States Supreme Court found in their interpretation of the Constitution through the Roe v. Wade case. And so that includes privacy in your bedroom. The Lawrence v. Texas case wouldn't have been ruled the way it was had it not been for that. And that allows for, you know, gay intimacy. And the other aspect is that it's not just gays that engage in that type of intimacy, right? Giving somebody head, that's sodomy, right? That's against the law. Said that was against the law still then too, right? And so, you know, gay marriage, clearly, the ability for us to be able to marry anybody regardless of race. I mean, all of those privacy type rights come from that spot, that one case. That's the jurisprudence that came from it. And so that's why it's all at stake.
Yeah. Why do we keep finding ourselves back at this point? Because we fight so hard for people like Biden and other officials to get in positions of power, you know, based off of a lot of different promises, et cetera. And we have things like, you know, the lynching bill, which finally
over 100 times it was introduced.
Exactly. And like why do we keep finding ourselves in this position where, you know, we elect these folks into certain positions because we want them to follow through with doing exactly that, codifying these kind of ideals into law so that we don't have to be fighting these things again. But it just seems like we have selective memory or short-term memory or no memory, because we keep coming back to the same goddamn conversations. And then we're like, okay, well, you know, what do we need to do? Well, we need to get politically active. We need to vote. We need to da-da-da-da. And we do those things and we end up finding ourselves in the same situation again. So I can't blame.
Was literally built for this cycle. They knew that the second a lot of these laws, especially early on, got on the books, and they could set up the Constitution the way they want to elevate white men, honestly, that it was going to be so hard to break that down. Despite how many steps we think we take forward, they know that everything is set up to make it backtrack at the same time. And it even just like the abortion part of it, the amount of money and time and energy that a lot of people have spent to try to overturn Roe versus Wade for the last 50 years is mind-boggling to me. And then it'll be the same folks that say, oh, well, I need my potholes filled and I need this done. Well, bitch, you just spent billions of dollars to try to overturn this and to get people elected into these seats, that to get people into the Supreme Court, to put people through Ivy League schools. And like, it is such a like machine that is mind-boggling. So say Roe versus Wade gets overturned and things like that. What the fuck y'all gonna do now? Y'all ain't got shit else to do, because that was your whole life's like goal, was to do this shit, fuck up everybody else's life, not realizing it's about to fuck up your life because you ain't got nothing else to do. Like, it's so mind-boggling to me, though. It's just like, And it's sad that the just amount of energy. And at the end of the day, if you don't want an abortion, don't fucking
get one.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hang with people that get abortions, then don't fucking hang with them. Like it's just, and yet you're gonna sit here and still talk about how you don't want to wear a mask and shit like that. So you don't like to be told what to do, yet you want to tell other people what to do.
There you go. Preach. Preach. Remember, this country, those founding fathers never intended for us to be where we're at today.
No.
They never expected for women to be where they're at today.
Yeah.
And they could never have imagined society and life being what it is today. And so, you know, it's taken a long time for us to get to this point. And it takes the fight, and it's going to take some significant changes in this country because just like Dawon said, that the sad part, and this is what Justice Sandra Day O'Connor said when she retired from the United States Supreme Court, is that we don't teach civics anymore. Nobody knows how the government works. And so this last time when Trump lost, there was surveys done in regards to, would you want Trump to be president again indefinitely and all this kind of stuff. And people, and the majority of the Republicans were like, yeah. And it's like, but that's not how the government's supposed to work. And they don't know. That's the problem. And so we have this separation of powers. So people will run for president, vice president, all this kind of stuff, Senate and all these types of things. At the end of the day, bills get passed in the House and the Senate by the majority of folks that are there. And it's this gerrymandering that's a problem. It's this electoral college that's a problem.
That's
all
a
these
whole problem.
All these systems need to be reformed, right? And the gerrymandering is just so significant, because I remember when I was younger, it just seemed like people were able to get along. You could be on different sides of the aisle, you have your ideological differences, you get together, you fight it out, and then you go and have a beer after. And nobody's doing that anymore, because these, they're the ones that are picking their voters as opposed to their voters picking them. They're crafting these congressional districts so it's safe for Republicans and it's safe for Democrats. And that's not how it was supposed to be. It wasn't intended for them to be there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Getting term limits in there, I think, is going to be an essential component as well, right? I mean, some of these things I'm conflicted on, because you want folks in there that have the knowledge and experience to be able to be the best, at what they're doing, but not to be there forever so that nobody else can get in. And some of these folks just aren't aware. I mean, I remember not too long ago, there was a Supreme Court justice that didn't know the difference between a text message and an email. I mean, come on. Technology has moved so far, and they're so far behind from a judicial and from a legislative perspective, that we need younger folks and we need new blood. We need folks that are using this technology and aware in regards to what's actually happening on the ground to be able to make and be involved in those decisions.
Well said.
Going back to the whole "don't say gay" thing in Florida, what do you think it's going to take in order to move the needle with that particular issue?
Florida's a strange duck, right? Because remember, in the last election, the majority of Floridians said and voted that they wanted felons to be able to have the access to the right to vote, right? Remember that? And guess what? They went over and changed the legislation and put in all these extra rules. You got to pay off all these things and everything. And so majority of those that law was passed, right? That was passed by the majority of the vote, by the majority of the people there in Florida, didn't end up coming to pass. And so, there's unfortunately so many ways for them to be able to rig the system against the people, and just more people need to stand up. The sad part is, we tout ourselves as being one of the best democracies in the world, but we do not have anywhere close to the highest voter turnout of all democracies. If the majority of the people came and voted, it would make a whole huge difference. If the majority of the young people went out and voted, we'd have a completely different country.
I mean, look, if you can vote from your phone
first to make it easy.
Look, if you can vote from this, if you can pay your taxes from your phone, you should be able to vote for your phone. If you remove the barrier of access, then you would significantly improve the amount of people whose voices would actually count.
They don't want to remove that barrier.
No,
they don't. There's not incentivized to do that.
Why is voting on a Tuesday? Why is it on a work day? Right? Making it a federal holiday makes it different, but making a federal holiday doesn't make it accessible to folks that are working 2 or 3 jobs anyway to be able to survive either. Right?
No, it's very true. So
let's just move. Damn. Can we just move? Where can we go in the world? We ain't gonna
Wait, did
deal
they
with
say
this
go back
shit.
to Africa
Damn.
anyway? Where's my ticket? You're like,
they killing gays with machetes over there. I don't know.
Oh well. And Canada and Mexico are gonna put up their walls. They're gonna put up borders.
Right.
Y'all saw Handmaid's Tale.
It's a chop.
Y'all saw Handmaid's Tale. We're on our way.
Let me sneak
On
over
our
to
way.
PV right quick before they put that wall up. Oh shit. But all right, well, you know what? Let's hop on over to Ask Yo Aunteas after this tea break. We interrupt this episode for very important information.
That's right. You've been asking for it for a long time, and we have heard you.
Yep, it's been a long time coming, but it's finally here.
Yo
Aunteas
got
merch! Hey! That's right. You know what? We got tees, we got long tees, we got sweatshirts, we got fanny packs, there's just a whole gamut of stuff out there. So go and check that out.
We are so appreciative of your love and support, and we are so excited to launch it. Girl, where can we find this at?
Ma'am, they can head right over to minorityareport.com to check out the selection.
That's right. That's MINORITEA report.com.
Woo! I'm about to go get me some myself. All righty, ladies. What time is it?
Woo! Ask
your auntie. Yeah.
I needed that little dance after that combo.
I love you get one black person dancing. Any other black person in the room catch it.
You get at least a shoulder shimmy at bare minimum. You get a.
Oh, can I throw one thing in real quick before we get to that? Just circling back in regards to this was the Supreme Court leak. This was the first time a draft had been leaked, but this was first time a decision had been leaked. And guess which case was the one that was leaked? Roe v. Wade.
Exactly.
Roe v. Wade case was leaked by a clerk. It was printed in Time magazine hours before the official report came out. Catch me on Facebook. I put the link out there. I'll email it to y'all there.
Hey.
And the clerk didn't end up getting fired.
I love it.
And they actually ended up getting another term on the court.
There we go.
So,
good for them.
That's the one good thing about, I guess, democracy. There's ways to get the information that you need to get out there.
There sure is.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. There's ways to do what it needs to be done, to shake up shit. So, but all right. So this question, who wants to read it here?
I can read it.
Okay.
It says, should you break up with someone due to your own mental problems, even though you are working through them consistently, but seems like there are days where it's worse than others? Currently getting a therapist and have had therapy on and off. I would like this to remain anonymous, please. So we're not going to say who it was, but should you break up with someone due to your own mental health problems?
My initial, I'll take a stab if that's okay. Because I see that when you start showing the teeth and like, like this could go a whole bunch of different ways. I don't think there's a cut and dry answer with this particular question. I think every individual has to make a decision that's specific for them. Just because just because a person has mental health issues or mental problems, as they're putting it, doesn't necessarily equal that they can't continue to be in a relationship. Because one of the best things about being in a relationship is having somebody that can support you and can encourage you and can be there for you as you're working through those issues. And so, I don't think that it's a cut as dry as breaking up with somebody. Now, however, what I would say is that if dealing with the context of a relationship and working through your own mental health journey is too overwhelming for you, I think that's the question that you as an individual should be asking yourself. And if the answer to that is yes, it's 100% okay to say, you know what, I'm breaking up with you in the name of love. And quite frankly, breaking up with somebody doesn't mean breaking up forever. Yep. It could just mean I'm breaking up for right now because I need to focus on myself.
Great
we'll let you go.
snaps on that. I mean, I agree as it relates to that. I mean, people have to be ready for a relationship. People have to be, but then you have to be, it's relationships are hard. They're not easy things to do. They're not for people that have all their faculties together even, right? And so, you need to be able to withstand that, right? And if you're not in a position to be able to weather that storm, sometimes the hard decisions have to be made to maybe this isn't the right time from that perspective. But there's a show out that I love that's I think it's Love on the Spectrum. So they have folks that have autism that are I haven't made it all the way through. I think I made it through 2 or 3 episodes, but I'm just like fascinated.
And it's 2 seasons.
Oh, there's 2 seasons. Okay.
Yes, there's 2 seasons.
I need a binge. I need a binge. But it's about the love journey of individuals that are on the autism spectrum, right? And everybody has access to love and should be able to find that in their life if that's what it is that they want. And just because they're individuals that may be dealing with mental health challenges either as part of their life's experience and their life's journey, or if it's a temporary blip in your life's experience, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take yourself out of the running and take yourself out of the market based on that.
What about you, Jerrell? What are you thinking, girl?
My initial thought is you might have had mental problems before you got in a relationship, so why now are you running from it in a way? And I agree with Dawon, like if it's becoming too overwhelming for your own sake, then definitely like that might be the option. But I hope you're not running from a good situation just because you don't want to burden someone. If they're not telling you they're burdened, and maybe I don't know, maybe there's lack of communication there, I don't know. But if they're not telling you it's heavy for them, don't assume that you're being a burden.
That's a great point.
And continue to work on yourself. And if they're standing strong with you, you got a good one. So that's maybe just my only other maybe tidbit. It's just like, don't run just because you're scared that it might become too much for everyone. If it becomes too much for you and you know it and you know yourself and you know that maybe it's going to make you act out in a way that's going to hurt the other person, then yes, you might need to step back, but at least have that conversation with them and telling them why. And like Dawon said, it might need to be a timeout. It might not be forever. It might be just this moment in time, I'm really finding myself either spiraling or whatever it may be. And I just can't do this relationship because like Zee said, it is work. And a lot of times you have to be present and you have to want to work at it. And sometimes it's even putting yourself on the back seat for a little bit. And like we always kind of say, it's not always 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20. Sometimes it's 99-1.
Not 99-1. Right.
That's a theme of 2022.
99 problems, 99. But ain't one.
But so if you know that you're just not going to be able to pick up the slack when they're needing it, then yes, it might be a good step. But don't run away, especially if they haven't said you're being a burden. If they're supporting you, if they're being your biggest support fan, that means that person wants you to get well, wants you to be your best self, wants you, and is there to help you do so. So
yeah. What are you thinking, Boo?
I have a lot of different emotions when it comes to this because anyone, and y'all included, that listen to the podcast knows how active I speak out on my own mental health journey. And if you are a new listener, I have been battling depression for a couple of years now and anxiety on top of that. I actually take antidepressants and medication for my anxiety every single day. And I see a therapist every other Saturday at 8 a.m. as well. And I can say for someone who depression has gotten me down a lot, for those who may not have experienced depression, it's hard to understand the feeling when someone says they feel like a burden, because when you are going through depression, it feels like you are just going down a rabbit hole and there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and everything feels like you are making everything worse. Even like my relationship, there were times when even I was just like, and Fizz was great. Fizz has always been there, being like, you can talk to me. Even you know, my aunties, my sisters have been like, we there for you, etc. And yeah, I've seen me have those conversations and I've just been like, I thank y'all so much, but I just don't feel it. It is hard for me to feel it. And the truth is with mental health is sometimes we physically can't do it ourselves. And so sometimes I would say maybe outside of therapy, look and talking to a doctor about getting on antidepressants. That's one thing I would suggest for someone who struggles with mental health, because I was going through depression. And when I tell you that I have so much to be blessed and so much to be grateful for, I had a roof over my head. I just got a new job. I have a great man. I have all these things going for me. There was not shit wrong with me in my life. And I still felt like I was not enough. Like it was not enough, you know? And that's when it hit me. And it was just like, I can't do this by myself. And so I love the notion of being like, hey, reach out to people. But sometimes people aren't the answer. Sometimes it is medication. You might need to actually have medication, because for someone to go through depression, the last thing I want to do is bother someone else who's going through something else. We all just got out of the pandemic. So a lot of us who battled with depression didn't want to speak up about how we're feeling, because we all were just locked up in the house. So people already going through their own type of little versions of depression and being cooped up, etc. So you don't want to add to that. And then you got people being like, oh, well, I'm still here for you. And it's like, well, now I feel weak. Why can't I be as strong as you? Why do I need you? Here you are helping me, and now I look weak to you. So now you may not even help me. Like the spiral is real. And so when I say this to now other people who are being there to support people with mental health, take the person for their words as they are, and not to assume that they can handle more, or that, you know, that your help is what they may need, because it may be bigger than just you and the support that you lean. Because although kind of Dawon, you had said point about one of the nice things about being in a relationship is having someone to lean on. With depression, that's not a lean on that anyone with depression would want to, because you feel like an anchor, because you feel like you're already sinking. The last thing I want to do is sink the only life support that I have to me, to my left, to my right, down with me, you know? And so it's hard to be like, I want to stay in a relationship because I got this person here. I don't want to drag that person down with me. So I would run even faster because of that. So I would say to the person with mental health, maybe talk to your therapist and see them more often. You said on and off, so maybe that's an inconsistency there. So maybe you're not getting out of therapy that you need, and look into medication as well.
One thing that I want to
go ahead.
Really quickly. I just want to acknowledge two things. One, the fact that Anonymous has chosen to invest time in therapy.
Yeah.
Kudos, because one of the best things that an individual can do is finding someone who can be objective, who can give them counsel and advice and help them work through whatever it is that they're working through. And so I want to echo, Jerrell, what you had said about, maybe they need to be more consistent with their therapy. And I also want to piggyback that with saying, if you're not finding the results with the therapist you're working with, there might be another opportunity for you to seek out another therapist that better understands your situation. Because just because a therapist works for your friend, if you got a recommendation or referral or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that they will work for you. So just know that that's an option. So that's the first thing I wanted to just acknowledge. The second thing I want to acknowledge is the fact that you are also considering the impact of your condition on your partner, because that's huge. Because oftentimes we all are going through, shit and caboodles, for whatever it is that we're feeling. And we're only focused on how it impacts us. And the fact that you have the emotional, intellectual wherewithal to think about the impact of your journey on the person that you're with is huge. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those two things, because I think it's really important that as you're going through whatever it is that you're going through, the fact that you reached out for help, the fact that you're considering, the person that you're with along this journey, and the fact that you've engaged in some kind of activities to give you an objective perspective to help you work through those. Those are all three things that I would say, as you're struggling on those worst days, those are three things that you're doing really, really well, that can be an anchor for you. And I'm sorry, Zee, you were going to say something
to us as well. Like,
yeah.
So that's number 4.
That's huge, because it shows that you're wanting to do the right thing for yourself, your significant other, and just your community as a whole, because this is a great topic for us to really dive into on here. So I appreciate that as well.
No, Dawon really hit on one of the things I was going to reference, was the making sure you have the right therapist. I've had many friends that have come to me in regards to, hey, where do I find a Black gay therapist? And I've gotten into some very heated fights on Facebook and social media where folks have unfriended me, and I'm like, bye, because here's the thing, and this is a question for the group here. My position was, people need to find a therapist that they're comfortable with. If you're a gay male and you feel more comfortable speaking to a gay male that knows what that life experience is, and you don't have to spend majority of your therapy time explaining things just explaining life, and explaining, your perspective and how the world views you and everything. If you can just cut to the chase and then get to the root of what's going on, then there's nothing wrong with that. And there was a Caucasian gay man that disagreed with that perspective and was like, why would you, all you're going to do is pick somebody from the echo chamber. Any therapist should be able to help you. No, because the same thing with a female. A woman may not feel comfortable having certain conversations with the male therapist because he doesn't live life as a woman, right? And so, there are resources out there now, more resources than there were before, for people to be able to find those LGBT therapists, those Black therapists, those trans therapists, people that have the specific knowledge and experience are going to be able to help you. So I know this individual said that they were going to therapy off and on. Why are you going off and on, right? Is the person that you're seeking this help from not the right fit for you? And if they're not, you haven't failed by them not being the right fit for you. And make sure that you're able to find the person that is the right fit for you, and that is not your failure. There's just sometimes you can't force a square peg in a round hole. So there you go. And the other part that I want to make sure that I reference is that we as Black people, don't always go for help and don't always want to take medication and things of that nature. And so that's something that that's a cycle that we have to break. And we as younger members of the Black community, I'll say younger, have to break that cycle and make it okay for folks to be able to seek help, and okay for folks to be able to seek and take medication if they need it, because there is this stigma that comes along with it. And I think culturally as Black folks that there's this, standoffishness in regards to doing that. And we need to be able to break free from that.
I will say, when I started my journey on medication, I call it journey because I've had to change it a couple times. Like the first one I took, I can't remember the name of it. When I tell you, bitch was feeling good. Like I was, look, bitch, had me put down my sweater like Mr. Rogers, bitch. I was saying it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
She was throwing that shoe, she said.
But let me tell you, a bitch couldn't have an orgasm to save her life. I'm telling you, it was to the point, it was a hate. I'm like, I'd have been doing this for too long now. This is it's gonna happen. I'm just over it. Like it was a no for me. So I had to go to my doctor and be like, okay,
it's gotta be something else.
But I ain't gonna lie, it was an awkward conversation.
Come on now.
But I'm telling you, when I went to my doctor, and again, it matters to have people who understand you. Like my doctor is a gay person of color, so he's a gay man, and he's a gay Asian man specifically. And so like having a gay doctor makes it easier to have certain conversations. So I understand, to Zee's point about that representation, even with your therapist, because it matters. And my therapist is a Black man too, and he bisexual. Yeah. So, like, again, it matters. It really does. Because it allows you to unlock a level of vulnerability and comfortableness with them that comes so much natural and quicker.
Yeah.
So you touched on something too. I don't even think you realized you touched on it, that you changed your medication.
Yes.
Like, it's not just going to be one medication potentially.
Yeah.
Like you
Absolutely.
might have a journey with the medication as well.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Don't be scared of it. Speak up.
Speak up.
Yeah. I mean, three years ago this month is when I had my first breakdown and had a panic attack and everything. And I'm so grateful for my aunties, because I'm telling you, I was on that phone with both of them girls being like, the world is crashing. My man in Europe, I'm all by myself. Dawon was like, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Sis, don't you worry. We're going to be up in there. Like, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's going to continue to be a journey. And I also want to point out too that May is also Mental Health Awareness Month as well too. So I even love this conversation, this Ask Yo Auntie that much more, because it is a time for us to make sure that we have this conversation, to make room for this conversation. And it doesn't just have to happen in May. This conversation should be a norm, and it will only be a norm until once we start to accept and embrace that this is a normal thing that people go through, and it doesn't make you less than.
Yeah. So thank you for sending this question in. We're here for anything you may need. Give us a follow-up if you feel comfortable, whatever it may be, but just know, like, you have a broader community, even outside, like, the aunties. Just know, tap into the community. We're all here to help and support and uplift one another. So continue to send your questions to aya@minorityareport.com, or DM us, or text us, or you see us at the mall. Do people go to the mall anymore? Wherever you see us, at the bar, wherever. But
Mall of America is always packed.
Girl, it really is. I went to Mall of America back in February, and it was like everything was turned around. I was like, "What? Where's this store at now?" Oh, okay then. But not a line for Legoland though. I was like, "Bitch, no, ma'am. No." Mall of America's the shit though. I love it.
The mall out here outside of Philly. I can't talk today. Like y'all.
Oh, she gonna sleep good tonight. She gonna sleep good tonight. She gonna.
The mall out here in Philly, in King of Prussia, I guess it's like the second largest mall in the country, or third largest, something like that.
Because they just built the new one in Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I ain't never been to no mall that large in my life. I was like, dear Jesus. And it has literally every store that I've ever
They
heard
need
in
a
my
tram.
life.
They literally need a tram to get you from one area to the other.
It's ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous. And like you said, like that bitch was popping, because that's where Corey's working out in that area. It's like, okay, let me check out this mall. And I was like, shit, I need a scooter in this bitch.
I see you scooting around to it.
They got everything from Ross to Louis Vuitton to like
everything.
Insanity.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they have the black underwear company there too. We need to try to get him on here. The Carter Wear. He has a physical store in that mall too. Yeah. We need to get him. I'm gonna pop.
She needs to change her underwear. She needs to change her underwear. So please let me know, because I can't wear briefs anymore. I have to go to the long one now. Yeah, I have to. The long ones, because my thighs. But my thighs are rubbing together too much. So I'm like getting these marks in my thighs because
only you can prevent a forest fire.
Girl, the amount of band-aids I got on my inner thighs because of irritation on my skin. Yeah, girl.
Okay, trademark Minority Report. You know how they got toe spacers? We need to have spacers for the legs.
Thigh spacers.
Thigh spacers.
Right, exactly.
I swear, girl.
Trademark, that idea is ours.
Thigh spacer.
Can you imagine?
Let me tell you. Girl, I got on. Look, I can take them off. Look, I got on compression shorts, girls. Look, I got on these long ass compression pants, girl, because my thighs, girl. Let me tell you.
Community, if you are not watching this episode on YouTube,
you need to watch it.
It's gonna be a clip.
I've been rocking these. Look, and I normally just wear these when I'm playing flag football, but bitch,
they've been saving you.
They've been saving these thighs. The band-aids won't do nothing. Gold bod ain't helping. It is just,
damn, girl.
Yeah, it's. I think the issue is
she thick.
That part.
It reminds me of that line from which one? Undercover Brother. Legs, breasts, and thighs. Sweet potato pie. Generous fried chicken.
Yep.
Oh,
what
that
was the actor that was
cracks
in that?
me up. Cracks me up.
I see
is it Eddie Griffin?
Eddie
No.
Griffin.
Yeah, that's
Eddie
it.
Griffin.
Eddie Griffin at?
Yeah, I ain't seen him in a minute.
Right.
He wasn't
at the Hollywood Bowl with Dave Chappelle getting tackled.
Girl.
Ooh.
And here's the funny thing is, because Dave Chappelle's all very particular about, you got to put your cell phone away and all that stuff. Them bitches in there sneaking in cell phones and got that footage.
Know.
That's how you saw it.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you
saw the
saw
footage.
It. Yeah.
I was like, damn.
It looked like his arm was broken backwards.
Did you see that when he was on the
gurney,
putting in the ambulance, and his arm was kind of like
it was like bending forward.
There was a gang of people that was around him in the back and just beating him down. But
here's the thing, it's like Jerrell, it goes both ways.
I said it goes both ways, don't it?
Because it's the sad thing is seemingly has opened up Pandora's box to slap of people thinking they could just run up on stage and shit. And I guess people have done it because even they did it in Atlanta with Beyonce and shit. So that's got to be a scary thing to have people just
rush
see this
stage.
dude coming at you like that.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, it's there's repercussions to what you say, but then if you're gonna run up on stage, there's repercussions. You might still get your ass beat.
Well, Will Smith sauntered. He didn't even run.
He so didn't.
That was my whole point. That was my whole point. If someone roll up on you like that, where is your reaction to be like, what's happening?
No, he was confused. He didn't expect for that to happen.
That's you ain't never got your ass beat. You ain't never got your ass beat before if you don't know in a situation.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
He know now. That's part of his story.
He know now.
Part of his life story.
That part. Yep. That part.
So, but I mean, Chris Rock was at Dave Chappelle's concert. Jamie Foxx was there, so he had some big.
Yeah, it was at the Hollywood Bowl. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
It's recorded.
What's wild is how did he get on stage? That's what's wild. I
don't know.
For me, I'd be firing the entire
this should have been that way.
Security crew. There is no way that he should have been able. That any person should have been able to get.
And not with that amount of speed. He was in the 100-meter dash.
He's running his track star. Doing hurdles over there, come on, bitch.
Yeah, good form and everything.
Right.
Better come on, high knees.
Honey.
And has it been released? Has it been released? What exactly he was trying to do, or what?
I doubt it's ever going to be released now. He got beat up. He in jail.
Oh no, it will be.
Oh,
it will.
There's a story. There was a story there.
There's a story.
There's a
may have posted on social media. Some people haven't found it yet.
I'm surprised TMZ ain't got the backlog and the computer files.
That's normally where it is too.
Yeah.
TMZ gonna
you want the real teams? Look up TMZ.
I was a little mad at the footage though, because y'all saw the video and it was all grainy. It was like, who the fuck is what track phone? What Walmart? What Walmart?
Well, you know what happened,
right?
They had stuck it in there, and so they were trying to stick it out, and they put their thumbprint over the lens. So they had all their thumbprint right. They trying to stick it out. That's what happened.
This is exactly what I see them being like this, bitch. Being like this, being like, oh shit, bitch.
That's exactly what happened. Some titty residue or something.
That's exactly what it was.
Because that was not 4K at all.
Oh man, so I mean, I don't I would not be running up on no damn stage of nobody that famous, even as mad as I might be at Dave Chappelle or whomever, because you gonna come out looking like Homeboy did.
You just gotta learn how to pick and choose your battles, or you catch somebody outside. Exactly. What you don't do. Yeah. I'm professional assholes. Exactly. Let me start a class 101 how to beat a hoe.
And you know he was there for a homeboy too, and the homeboy decided not to run up either. He's like, that's your battle.
Nope.
He's like, ready, set, go, and he's the only one running.
Yeah, he got lapped. He'll be like, psych.
ain't friends no more.
Yeah, right.
You got off the blocks real quick.
That's bold. That's really, really bold for somebody to do that.
Yeah.
I do feel like comedians, because it's I do feel like comedians foster kind of an environment where they are accessible, you know, like just by the fact that it's just them on stage, you know, they try to create a sense of intimacy or whatever, but damn, that's too close for comfort.
Yeah. It's gonna suck for the ones that are like in the clubs and stuff like that, because like
they're right there.
Exactly. And some comedians is about bantering back and forth with someone in the crowd, and somebody gonna be in their feelings.
Wasn't there?
And that's why I don't go, because I get in my feelings. That's exactly why I don't go, because I know I'll be like, and get your ass off that stage and come say it over here. I will be that person like this. And what?
Jumping up on stage.
Look, I'm not jumping on stage. I'm gonna act such a fool that they're gonna have to come up to me and come get my ass out. And I'm gonna be like, and I'm gonna press charges because I ain't touched nobody. I just use words like you did.
Hope you all saw the correspondence dinner. Trevor Noah killed it. He was roasted everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. Yeah. It was good. He was good.
And he made Elon Musk look crazy. He made there was somebody else he made look crazy. I was like, thank you.
He was making the rounds. He was making the rounds.
He's good. He's good.
I do like him. But Dawon, you were right though. You were getting to it. T.I. did some comedy just in New York like a couple weeks ago, and they booed that nigga. They were like, it was a no. They let him know like this ain't it. And then not for him to be like, I took those boos as constructive criticism to be a better comic. I was like that's how you spin some shit. They said that's not it. I ain't never heard no boo be like that, bitch.
The killer part about it is a couple of weeks ago, he went up on stage of a female comedian that was talking about all the shit that was going on about with T.I. and all the all that shenanigans or whatever. And he got up there on the stage and confronted her. And the killer part about it is that there was no other, like, I'm sorry, but there are certain things. I'm all for gender equality, right? But in my opinion, you don't walk up on a woman.
Yeah.
You just don't. You don't walk up on a woman aggressively. And I was shocked. No, I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I wasn't shocked. I was disappointed that other brothers or other people that were in the audience didn't step in and step up for the sister that was on stage, that he was basically accosting. Yeah. But we see that all the time because, what did they say? The Black woman is the most disrespected woman in the entire world, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm about to put some respect. Oh, go ahead, Z.
No, I was going to say, remember who was starting this whole who started this whole walking on stage trend? Kanye.
By Beyonce had the best music video in the world.
He was right.
And he said, "I'm gonna let you speak."
You're right. I'm gonna let you finish. You know what? I think about that moment because like I just started watching The Genius on Netflix, which is like the first. I just saw the first episode. It's brilliant. Oh, it's upsetting.
Bonkers.
How like brilliant it is. But I wonder if Taylor Swift would have gotten as big as she did. I think she was going to get bigger and bigger, but I don't think she would have gotten as big as she has become if he didn't do that moment. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Not at all. Yeah, she owes her career to him.
Really? I don't want to say her career, but like
I'll say
the extension that she saw after that, for sure. You said, I said.
Because everybody's like, who's this Taylor Swift girl?
Right, exactly.
So, but no, he was right. That's the one time we will support Kanye in that
Kanye,
moment.
right.
No,
he was right.
No,
he was right.
No.
He said,
here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing.
Thinking.
I can agree that hers was better, but I don't agree with his tactics in regards to going on stage and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, but what he said was right.
It was absolutely
what he said was right.
and
not what he did.
Right, what he had said.
What he had said.
But essentially, we will let it slide as a Black community.
It's like in the Black community, if we agree, we're like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
You might act a fool, but that's okay. We'll let it slide.
Right. Just like when he was like, George Bush don't give a shit about Black people.
Black people.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real ass moment.
Right about that too.
He spoke the truth that moment.
Mike Myers said. Now that's some good ass TV. But I was gonna say the person I'm about to put some respect on right now because I want to read her book is that new Viola Davis memoir. Like her media rounds right now. I love that woman so much.
Yeah. I do too.
I love me some Viola, y'all. Oh, I can't.
Have y'all seen that show, The Presidents? What is it? What is that?
Yeah, no.
The Presidents?
No, it's the one where she's Michelle
Obama.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
So they mad that she got her mannerisms too down.
No.
I saw some clips. I was like,
that didn't look good. Yeah, the clips that I saw didn't look good.
No.
she one person said, "Why she look like somebody booty thing?"
I'm done.
Yep.
I said no.
Somebody sent me the clips, and I was
the
like,
killer part. The killer part is that the mannerism that you want to be known for? I mean, like, okay, first of all, we Black, so we all make that face from time to time, and for good reason. Mm-hmm. However, is that the face that we want, that any one of us want to be known for? I mean, that's like the Stevie J look. You know,
I just honestly, I'm afraid to watch it because Viola's a queen. She's a queen impersonating another queen, and I'm just like, there could only be one. I have one folder. I have one picture behind my back, and I have two beautiful girls standing before me.
And the girl whose name I do not call must immediately go back to her hotel room, pack her bags, and leave the competition.
I swear to God, Netflix gonna do that to me, or whatever that show was on. That's what I'm gonna feel like. I would be sitting there like,
oh Lord. So quickly, who won the Met Gala? Dawon, we'll go to you first. Like, you know you love your fashion moments.
Who won the Gala? First and foremost, what I would say is I think the men ate the gala up. Yeah. Because everything that I saw on the women looked beautiful and whatever. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't, like flowed over. And like, there were a lot of people that were trying to get that, like, that Rihanna pizza dress moment on the stairs, or, the Billy Porter moment or whatever. Like a lot of people were trying for that, but it just wasn't landing. And also I think our tolerance, because when you see those kind of theatrics and whatnot, got to come with something new. Step your game up. But I love the men showed up and showed out. I just the colors. I love the fact that, quite frankly, a lot of, especially Black men, were rocking Tom Brown, who is a designer that I love. and there were a lot of kilts and dresses and very like gender fluid options in there, and there were not a lot of conversations about like demasculating It was this is just fashion, and so I love a lot of painted nails too. Absolutely. So I think the men really killed it. The men killed it for sure.
Yeah. Who? I guess for me, like Janelle Monáe killed it. She slayed it for me. Like, bitch is just so good. I love her skin tone. I love that she still sticks to this black and white, but it never gets old. I'm like, ooh, Janelle, you could just do no wrong for me right now. So I think she might be the one that killed it for me the most. I'm trying to think of the men.
Lena Waithe looked amazing.
That was my favorite. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my favorite. Yeah, that's fine. I had been waiting. I love Lena Waithe. Looked stunning. I loved it. That blue. It was fantastic. And Lenny Kravitz. I don't know what he was wearing, but that looked so good.
Yeah,
I said,
Let me borrow that.
I think he had 2 looks because I remember seeing one where he was on the carpet. Then I saw another picture with him.
With him,
nice.
And
yes, that was that.
That's a man, Maury.
Yes.
I did like Blake Lively's reversible dress. She was looking for that moment.
Yeah,
it was different. It was different. I like that.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that the men were pushing the envelope, because normally, the men we don't have as much versatility in regards to things, and I think
like white tie. Like, I thought everyone was gonna come in a damn Tom Ford suit. I was like, oh Lord.
They were swinging for the fences this time around.
Oh, Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac could do whatever he wants to me.
Anything.
Look, I will cut off my left nipple. Come on now, Daddy.
No, I want him to lick it first, then he can cut it off.
But I mean, I'm just loving these men. Really, just. I mean. Here's a Bad Bunny and Burberry.
You know,
I didn't feel it.
Like that one, I was like indifferent on, but I'm glad he did it. If that makes sense.
Because, here's the thing:
he's pushing the envelope, and I like.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I like to see, because every time what we end up seeing is we see all of these guys show up in their Tom Ford suits, and you know me, I love me some Tom Ford, but I mean, it don't say nothing. It's like you spend $15,000 for a suit that's just swole. So I love the fact that men were taking challenges with their silhouettes. I love the fact that they were taking challenges with color. I love that it was sophisticated. Like, you can tell that they worked with stylists in order to find something that really suited their body type. I don't feel like anybody was not anybody. I don't feel that the majority of the men that I saw, that their outfits weren't wearing them, even when they chose to wear something that was like outlandish. Like that purple moment that Kid Cudi was wearing was phenomenal. Actually, I have it right here.
Was it purple or was it blue?
Well, blue.
Yeah, blue.
But this one,
I like
and there were a lot of capes, lot of capes. So like, just adding a little bit of drama and flair. And I love seeing, because us men, we got a polo shirt and shorts, and then a suit jacket. And that's
when I think I would have wore a gown. Like, this is like, I felt like my only problem with it was like not too many people stuck to the theme. Now it's just become like another
gilded glamour. Yep.
So I'm like, okay, you look great. Coolio, say that for the Oscars, say that for the Golden Globes. This was your opportunity to do something ridiculous. Like, so the guy that looked like Jared Leto, but that ended up not being Jared Leto.
Yes.
Boat moment. He looked like a fish. Like, I don't know what the hell to call that. Like a puffer fish.
It's Frederick Robertson. Frederick Robertson. Yeah.
So that's the time to do something crazy like that. Because where else you gonna fucking wear that at? You ain't wearing that to Kroger. So it's just like that.
No, not
so
at
that,
all.
as much as the men killed it, as much as the women killed it, nobody just went way overboard, and that's what I miss.
I even like Anderson .Paak's outfit.
That wig, but that wig though.
He said stiff wear.
He literally he be having too much fun with that wig.
The Ike Turner wig.
I was living for it.
It's the Ike Turner wig. That is exactly
Ike Turner wig.
I was so here for it.
So that's the only thing. And even though I will say Kim Kardashian looked great, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
in the Marilyn Monroe dress,
it wasn't the theme, but she looked great.
See, and I'm not a big fan of people that. I mean, where's the house mother over there? Like you at the ball, like cut them because they didn't wear the theme. They didn't wear the theme.
Yeah, and that's kind of the energy that it was giving me. I feel like we've also seen that before. Like, I mean, Marilyn Monroe, but I mean, like, in the sense of like, it's nothing shocking for her. I'm just like, no, girl. Yeah. Like, you trying too much.
Pete looked
you're only trying by yourself.
She cleaning Pete up.
He still got that Pete Davidson face though.
Oh,
that he bring with him everywhere.
What else he gonna have?
That's it. That's it.
that dangalang.
So they say. So they say.
I'll
Little Big
Pete.
Pete.
When I ran into Pete Davidson at Swinging
Pete the Dragon.
Pete the Dragon.
Did you brush up against and verify? Because that's what I want to know.
Like I stepped off the curb and almost bumped into him, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man." And then I was like, "That's fucking Pete Davidson. Why are you at Swinging Richards?"
I just wish, like, you know, now that we're kind of in this stage of pandemic life or whatever, most people are vaccinated and, you know, we're starting to get some semblance of, you know, normalcy in our lives. I wish for the Met Gala, people would go all out. And I feel like there is still this sense of conservativeness that it's just like, why would you wear something to the Met Gala that you would wear at any other like Oscar or other award show? Exactly. Like, in my opinion, this is the opportunity to show avant-garde. Be wild with it. You know?
So that was the only thing. Like, I don't think anyone went overboard. A lot of great looks. No one had a Billy Porter moment. No one had a Rihanna moment. No one had a even like a Lil Nas X back in September moment. No one had that moment this go around. And I filled with gilded glamour. You could have had like
all of it,
because you could have wore just some big gaudy like gown that's like 4 feet that way, 4 feet that way, feathers everywhere. Give me a glove or two. Like I would have went crazy.
It would have been so cool to see, because Gilded Glamour is referencing like the 20s, which is kind of like the Great Gatsby in a sense or whatever. And it would have been really
like the 1870s to like the 1900 time period, even before the Gatsby part of it.
It could be, but I would love to have seen somebody do like a golden take on damn, I just lost her name. Oh gosh,
Ma Rainey.
No, ooh, no. Gilded Pancake? No.
Leave Ma Rainey alone.
No, what's the woman that did the banana dance?
Oh, Josephine Baker.
Yes, Josephine Baker. Banker. Good Lord. See, Kerel, I didn't caught what you got.
I don't want that.
This. We can't talk for the rest of the night.
Josephine Baker.
I would have loved like a golden touch on that. Yes. Gold body, gold everything, with the gold bananas, with the gold headband, and like a big, like, you know, kind of like Vegas style plumes out of the back. Like, go big.
Remember the drag queens? They didn't invite
that was the one person.
Nope. They weren't there.
What was her name? Cara something? Cara Delevingne? Is that her name?
Oh, Cara with the titties out?
Yeah, I actually kind of liked her look. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Yeah. I was there for that. I was like, okay, bitch.
You know, it looked good, but again, it wasn't the moment. Gwen Stefani, I love that highlighter green. I was like, okay, and she's just aged well. Obviously, a little, you know, filler here and there, whatever. But
obviously,
but she looks great. But I was like, that's not the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like I was getting mad, but oh well. So another Met Gala come and gone. They could have had a moment where, I mean, obviously the whole Supreme Court thing was going on, so they could have done something, you know, to reference that or to speak up about that. I don't think I heard many people talk about it. It's what it is.
Apparently they didn't invite AOC back. They said we got enough of these protests.
I guess so.
I mean, if she was there, we didn't catch her in the blog, so maybe it wasn't. You know,
it's a custom guest. That guest list is real custom.
But we did say we did see Hillary. This was Hillary's first gala, and what did they say? It was her first gala in like 19 years or something like that. It's the first time that she made it.
If I was Hillary, I would have went all the way out. Like, she's not running for anything. She's not doing anything. I would have done that to be the talk of the town. Like, to take attention from old boy. Old boy would have been mad.
Let the hair and makeup girls do it.
Jared Leto.
Could you just come out there with the Ariana Grande ponytail?
Honey, that would have been fired.
And some Nicki eyeliner.
Oh, that's another one. Nicki's titties was all out.
Oh, she was there too.
That. It was just.
Ooh, I need to scroll back.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You didn't miss anything.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen The First Monday in May? It's a new. I think it's on Hulu. But it's about the Met Gala and like the behind the scenes and like the whole story behind it and all that kind of stuff and all the drama that happens in regards to trying to pull it off.
I don't know.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here too, quickly, we know there's a crazy trend going on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere called the Massah Trend. The fuck is going on?
Okay,
like,
you're gonna have to explain this because I
was doing just fine. I had forgot about that bitch. We talked about it right before the episode.
Didn't 2 weeks ago on our podcast we were just talking about like this whole like role play, race play kind of thing?
Last week's episode. And so then literally we got off, and I think it was the next day when I started seeing that trend in. And I'm like, oh my Lord. So those that don't know, I don't know how you don't know because it's fucking everywhere, is folks in interracial relationships, mainly females, like black females, having like their white counterpart, if they had like a hoodie on, like making it look like they're like hanging them, choking them, grabbing them by the shirt and things like that. And they're calling it the Massah Trend. Like exactly what you're thinking in your head right now. I get everyone wants their little 15 minutes. I get trends are the vibe right now. I get it. But not every viral moment is for you. Just to get attention. And I get it, like especially when you're young. I get that energy. We've all done stuff to do some attention that now that we look back, maybe I wouldn't do that now. But this going viral for that, you're going to look at this in a few years. You're going to look at this a week later, a day later, and be like, damn, that ain't the move. That is not the move. So if no one in your life is telling you it's not the move, your aunties, we all here to tell you that's not the move. Don't do that shit. If you was thinking about doing that shit, don't do that shit.
I'm gonna clown you. I'm gonna let you know. Auntie Henny gonna clown you. Like, if I see you anywhere, if I see it on my social media, I'm gonna be in your comments. I'm gonna clown you. Gonna delete me. You got to block me. You have to report me. You have to call the cops. Whatever you got to do. But I'm gonna say something because it's unacceptable. And a lot of people who are doing this are not thinking about the repercussions. Or just name repercussions, but how that may give people permission to think that it is okay to do that to all Black folks.
Exactly. You're gonna catch the right one, like Jerrell said. Go catch her. And for the person that is supposedly your partner that supposedly loves you, supposedly to volunteer and agree to be on this trend with you, it's fucked up. Fuck them. Get out that relationship because that's not it.
That ain't love.
That
ain't love.
That's not respect. That's nothing.
What self-respecting Black woman?
What's her name? You know what's her? You know her name. Trump don't even like her anymore now.
Oh, right. You're right.
Oh, you're muted again.
There you go.
Candace.
Candace.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I think some people are into it just because of like the whole submissive dominant thing, but you don't need to role play that scenario for it to be dominant and submissive.
Or name it the Massah Trend.
Or name it the Massah Trend. Like you don't need to do. Like I understand being submissive. You may like to play that role in the bedroom. Totally understand it. But play a different role, bitch.
You know, the killer part about this is that all the people that got canceled because of the blackface that they were doing or doing like the antebellum bullshit or whatever, this is this generation's version of that.
Yeah.
Literally. So while y'all out there thinking it's cute on your little TikToks and whatnot, 5 years from now, when you trying to get your kid into a preschool and they're looking through your whatevers and they see this bullshit that you're doing, or you're trying to get a loan for this, or this stuff is going to backfire. Y'all need to be thinking about the long term when you're playing around with this race stuff.
Employment lawyer, it's going to haunt you for life. And if you don't get a job because of it, it's not discrimination. It's because you made a dumbass decision.
Period.
Absolutely.
Period. So, Zee, you're always welcome whenever you want to. You really are.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yes,
I met Zee in person like shortly after the last episode.
Oh, that's true. Palm Springs.
We was out there living our best lives.
I got that faded photo of y'all too.
He was lit.
Auntie Saint Germain.
Saint Germain was out. But boo, you are welcome whenever. Again, community, gay50states.com, gay50states.com. Where else can they find you on like social media?
It's Gay 50 States everywhere. Twitter,
go.
which I don't know if we're gonna be there much longer with that whole Elon Musk thing over there. Instagram, Facebook, or Zee Stout on LinkedIn. I'm the only Zaylor around, so Zaylore. You'll find me. I'm everywhere.
And aunties, love you as always. And
love y'all.
Oh, you know it goes both ways.
You know,
as it should. As it should.
I mean, in certain situations.
When I feel like it. And community, stay safe. Wash your hands, wash your legs, wash your ass. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all.
Bye.